Thank you for watching, liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing right now.
How do you explain a conference that is focused on the attendees' experience as much as possible, that caters to an audience that is never fully satisfied, and that's a good thing, that discusses technology and does its best to facilitate conversations, to stand out from the crowd, to give the community a possible platform, and just to talk tech. And not just about computers and hardware and software, but how all of this technology relates to us as human beings. And maybe that's it. It's the science and mystery of tech in relation to the human condition, the human community. Maybe that's how I put it. Maybe that's the theme that I go with. It started back in 2001 when a few people from the chat room approached me and suggested that we do some kind of confab. I thought it was a great idea. And as Goretzky notes, the first Gnomedex was keynoted by Steve Gibson. Let me try it again. Steve Gibson. Sorry, it's a little late. I've been pulling just amazingly long days and nights in front of this computer trying to get things ready to go. Not just working on gnomedex.com, which is running Drupal. Nick Limdal in the chat room, that's his handle, has been very helpful and hopefully will continue to assist me in molding it into a website that's really dynamic, not just before and after the conference, but really during the conference. And we've got a few ideas we're batting back and forth, at least for attendees. And, the second year we did Gnomedex, Leo Laporte keynoted. The third year, I think we had Dvorak, Tim O'Reilly was there. Who else was at 3? Well, as if those two weren't enough. Let's see here. 4, it was Will Wheaton and Steve Wozniak. 5 was Adam Curry, Dave Weiner. 6, we had we had a handful of people at 6. I thought quite a few big names, including, then John Edwards, who was running for president, hadn't announced his candidacy for presidency, or that he was going to run for it, but he was definitely in the tech scene, and it made for an interesting time, I'm sure. And then last year, I probably pushed more on the social end of things than anything, but I thought out of everything that we did last year, the most amazing experience that everybody shared was with Derek Miller, who had been diagnosed with cancer, and we brought him in by webcam to talk about how he was sharing this with the world in a very public way. And in fact, the videos, at least from 6 and 7, Gnomedex 6 and 7, are online or should be on YouTube, including that one video of Derek. It's grown over the years because my interests have grown, but I've largely stayed, in touch with the tech community. And when I say tech community, again, it's moved well past, these confining pieces of hardware, and now it's going this direction. And Twitter is one of those social commons that exist. And it has started to shape the way conferences happen. And, with Gnomedex, it's always been about crossing the audience over with what's happening on stage, because to me, the whole thing is a stage. It's the entire experience is a stage. It's one of the reasons why I don't issue press passes. Another reason why we don't allow sponsors to dictate the content. Another reason why I really don't like doing panels. Another reason why it's a single-track conference. I mean, everything I want in a conference, I do my best to produce in conjunction with my wife Ponzi, who is really the okay, she is 90% of what happens at GnomeDex. Without her, it would not happen. And I'm very grateful that she has allowed it to flourish. So registrations are open at gnomedex.com, GNOMEDEX.com. But you might see that there's no speakers listed. What's going to happen on stage? A good question. In the beginning, I defined speakers, and of course, people came based on the speakers. And then I started realizing, I think the audience is more important than who's on stage. Not to say that the people that we'd have on stage are any less important, but, isn't a conference all about the people who are there? I mean, really? So, we started to announce registrations before we announced who was going to be on stage, starting with GnomeDex 5. And it's kind of been a little... Some people like that, other people don't. It's an experience, nonetheless, and some people just can't wait for GnomeDex to be announced. We gave private access to past GnomeDexers tonight, late tonight, and have already had about 10 people sign up. And considering we only have room for about 300, and I have a feeling it's going to sell out again for the third year in a row, don't wait. Definitely do not wait on it. I don't know. I'm excited about it, of course. I'm recording this video, though, not to just, bring you kind of up to speed on GnomeDex and what it's all about and everything. Certainly we'll be streaming live video from there. But I wanted to get an idea from you on who should be on stage. And I'm not looking for people that are at every single conference. I'm looking for really unique stories. Really, again, coming back to that whole idea about how does technology impact our lives, not just technology for the sake of technology. What is the science and mystery behind this social strata of technology, and where is it going? The people that I'd have on stage would be people who've either helped bring it to this point or are helping to bring it to this point, or that point, if it's a point in the future, wherever that happens to be. So I came up with, 5 of my, top picks if I had a chance to just have them there without, questioning schedules or if they would have a speaker fee or whatnot. But I want to ask you, with GnomeDex, who would be the most amazing scientists, thought leaders, influencers? And I'm not talking just because they're from a big brand. That doesn't mean anything to me, okay? Because remember, I try to keep vendors off the stage. There's a big, huge line that some people can cross when, that line is blurred. So, if I had to choose 5, I would reach out to Linus Torvalds, and I've always wanted to have him at GnomeDex, if only because it's not just Linux for the sake of Linux, and of course GNOME, again, has nothing to do with my GNOME has nothing to do with the GNOME desktop environment in Linux. It's just a nickname, but it's what open source has done for everybody, from the desktop all the way to the enterprise. What this open source movement, what's the science of open source? What is the mystery of open source as it unravels? Clay Shirky, who, I've got his website actually up here, shirky.com, just wrote a book, Here Comes Everybody, The Power of Organizing Without Organization. And that's kind of what's been happening with GnomeDex every year. I have absolutely no marketing or PR, do very little. In fact, I'm posting most of my announcements on Twitter, because I have a feeling that Twitter is going to sell out the conference quicker than I ever could any other way. The blogosphere has pretty much owned GnomeDex, the conference, and the brand. And so I want to do what I think is going to give them the most amount of return for the time that they spend at the conference, period. Where it sticks in their memory banks. And someone suggested Noam Chomsky earlier, although I know Datalore, you're making a counterpoint to that. Noam might be interesting. that he's potentially a polarizing figure, which is a little iffy, but still the science of language and how language influences us. I think it's an interesting topic to explore. And when I say science, I got to be very careful because that's a very specific term. That's why, it's science or mystery or how technology influences all of our social behaviors. I'm still, working through that and really trying to put a finer point on that by, inviting people that I think are really, leading us as a human race forward. Peter Higgs from CERN just recently came out and said that he believes he has a way to prove the God particle. And you do some research on that. Very, very interesting stuff. Joseph Esposito may also be an interesting figure. And this was someone recommended to me by Goretzky, who's come to... You were at 4, 5, 6, and 7. So you were at 4 Gnome Dexes, right, Goretzky? I'm pretty sure that's how many you've been to. Maybe you were at more than that, though. Maybe you were at 3, too. I can't remember. But he recommended Joseph Esposito, former CEO of the Encyclopedia Britannica. You were at 5. Oh, you were at the first one. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Woo, we go way back here. But Joseph has been talking a lot about Book 2.0, or what happens next in the publishing industry. Be interesting to talk about that. And here's another one. It's kind of a little bit of a rock star thing, but Adam Savage, one of the Mythbusters, or maybe both of the Mythbusters. That'd be even better. Really, how compelling is that to look at things that, have become wives' tales, and are they wives' tales, and what is the science and unraveling mysteries? I mean, there's this ethereal discovery process that even I go through, but that's, what I'm thinking in general. I'm curious to know what other, people, whether they're, well-known or not well-known at all, but have a very interesting and compelling story, not tied to any one particular brand necessarily, make some suggestions, because I'm completely open at this point. Don't know what we're going to do. I don't know how we're going to assemble the schedule. Never really do until it kind of comes together and it starts to make more sense, at least to me. There are people who keep coming back. There are people who've come just once and it wasn't for them, but I always explain that, and you can ask Goretzky, it's different every year. Absolutely. I mean, and the names that I've listed are not small names. The people that have come before, certainly. And I think far more notable people in the audience, more so than who may have been on stage. I don't know. It's just always been an interesting thing for me, and you will see me stress out over the coming months. As I said before, I've been banging away at this keyboard trying to arrange things. So people in the chat room at live.pirillo.com have been upset that I haven't paid attention to them, but understand that if you're coming to Gnome Dex, I am paying attention to you vicariously. I'm just setting this up. This is another community. So this is just as important to me as everybody in the chat room is. Gnome Dex is not for everybody. Some people say that the registration price is too expensive. I don't think it is. It's actually one of the lesser expensive conferences in terms of what you get inside the tech industry. And certainly we maximize the value for everybody there. There is no VIP pass. Everybody is treated like a VIP. We have, leading technologists all the way to just regular old users who want to come and meet each other, regular old people. The only person who has come to every Gnome Dex, 7 years running to this point, now we've got 8 in the works, the only other person besides me, only one other person, and you're not going to believe it, she is a geek, she is a technologist, but her day job is at Kraft on a production line. Not Ponzi, nope. It's Christine, and she's been it's just interesting. It's just an interesting story. We're the only two who have gone to every Gnome Dex. It's just weird. It's over 8 years time. I mean, things change. People change career paths, schedules, etc. But Christine has made it her vacation. And certainly now, yes, Christine is Ms. Locker Gnome, Miss Locker Gnome as she was crowned, Miss Gnome Dex. She was crowned the first year, and we won't get into, or was it the first year? Yeah, the first year. We won't get into how she was crowned Miss Gnome Dex right now, though. Suffice it to say, there's probably videos online somewhere. It's been a long road, and it's far from over. It's happening in Seattle. Don't know where the parties are going to be. Registrations are open. We've hoped to bring Gnome Dex out of Seattle at some point. Possibly doing more than one Gnome Dex a year throughout the world, but we need, a better infrastructure behind us. It's pretty much just Ponzi and myself, and this year we have finally brought aboard someone to help with the organization and the growth of the Gnome Dex brand. Datalore, the password is currently in place there because it's the only people who can register right now are the people who have come before. I'm not going to open it up to general web registration until the time this video is published. So don't worry, anybody can come. There's about 300 seats in the main hall. And, we do have vendors. We do have sponsors. How do you explain Gnome Dex? I've always struggled with it. Maybe that's the problem, is I've always struggled with it. I've got so many interest in meeting people and talking about technology and really just... I think this year I really want to try to make it something, though, instead of just another conference. I mean, what can we make with this time together? What can we do together? Not just meet, but what can we meet and create? It's a challenge. It's a tremendous challenge because it's basically 300 plus special interest groups. And that's what every person is, especially when they have Twitter at their fingertips. Oh, this sucks. Oh, this is great. Oh, I'm tired. Oh, let's go out in the hallway. Oh, I want another apple. Oh, I want another this. That's what Twitter does. I mean, I might as well just turn everything off and just have people Twitter about Gnome Dex the whole time. In fact, I'm thinking about doing that at the beginning, like when you say, everybody welcome to Gnome Dex, and I realized I should set the tone, but I thought I'd let you set the tone. So why don't you Twitter what you're thinking or what you're hoping to get out of it, and I'd display it right there on the screen and watch them scroll up. It'd just be kind of neat. I don't know. I always kind of nudge the envelope. Okay, sometimes I shove the envelope too far, but I think it's all for the better. I mean, if nothing else, I give people something to talk about, something to look forward to. Anyway, I'm interested in your thoughts. My email address is chris@pirillo.com, and I'm certainly open to talking about anything related to Gnome Dex on any level. You're welcome to stop by the chat room, too, and that will be open, as it was last year, with a live video stream, because I'm streaming pretty much all the time, like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, typically talking tech and uploading plenty of videos in the process. But you can find us chatting, even if you're not coming to Gnome Dex, but if you are, great. But we're always going to be at live.pirillo.com. We'll see you later.